Hello everyone. Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We will have few minutes. We'll wait for few minutes for others to join. If any of your friends are yet to join, please remind them to join. Please drop a message in your office groups. So we request all of the attendees not to drop any of the details. So you don't need to drop any details in the chat box. Hi, ma'am.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We are live, ma'am.
Oh, great. Good morning and happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to another learning session, guys. Happy learning. It's a very good day to begin with on Sunday. Looking forward to see everyone being active.
Morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Funny, we will wait few more minutes, then we'll start the session.
Good morning.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Shall we start?
Yeah, I think we have members joining in. We can give a minute.
Okay.
Getting texts.
Meanwhile, we'll be hanging out here. If there are anything, we can
So,
respond.
meanwhile,
We'll
do
give
we
them
have?
2 more minutes.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask all the attendees. Hi everyone. Just wanted to check, do we have any newly certified guys, recently certified, maybe this month, last month certified? Please respond in the chat box. Okay. 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 So just wanted to mention this because we have been getting a lot of queries on about these meetings and all. So just I'll give some details about what are these meetings and all. So once you got certified from AAPC, you will have to maintain your certification by completing the CEOs. So, which means you need to be up to date with the knowledge that is required to maintain that certification. That should make you uh, as a coder up to date with the knowledge that you need to perform the coding activities. So these sessions will give you those kind of knowledge, and you will have to attend these sessions. And once you attend these sessions completely for the full duration, you will get the CUs added to your AAPC account. So such CUs you will have to earn depending on your certification date and all. So you will be due with some number of CUs. Okay, so you need to attend these and you will get the CUs. So attending means you will have to attend the full session, complete session. Only then you will get the CUs, or at least 90% of the time you should be there. So that is the minimum criteria, and you should be an AAPC member so that you will get your CUs. So we have observed that if the member's certification is not active or the membership is not active, for few members, even though we have added CUs, the CUs is not being reflected. So please be active with the certification, and then you will be able to see the CUs and everything. Okay, so yeah, so that is the announcement that I wanted to give. Any of
Adding to you, funny, few members their certification got revoked. In case if you did not complete your required CEUs or if you did not renew your certification, it will be revoked, and you will receive a link through AAPC to reinstant your certification. You have to pay some dollars. I think it is around $50 to them. Then they will reactivate your certification. If any one of you facing that problem, please message AAPC. They'll share you the link and they'll share the details to your email. Pay the money, then your certification will be activated. Recently, most of the members their certification got reactivated, as a few members they did not complete the required CEUs. Yeah, funny. Let's start the session.
Sure.
Morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope you all are refreshed and ready for the session. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker. He is Mr. Goli Saifani. As many of you know, Saifani, he is a core member of AAPC Hyderabad chapter, and he often serving as a first point of contact for your queries, concerns, and suggestions. His dedication to this chapter is truly commendable, because whenever you have any concern or something from AAPC Hyderabad local chapter, the first point of contact you'll remember is Goli Saifani. When it comes to his professional experience, he brings over a decade of experience in US healthcare, and he currently serving as a training operation leader at Urban RCM, where he is giving all his efforts to train the coders and they are building a strong training team over there. One more thing, he is also the author of book called Chief Complaint, where he explained all the things about what is leadership, what is medical coding, and the as a coder, how the coder's life will be. Everything he has wrote in that book. So today he is a speaker. It is my great pleasure to welcome him. He'll be speaking about the importance of artificial intelligence in medical coding. That is highly relevant and demanding topic. So please join me in extending a warm virtual welcome to Mr. Golli Sai Fani as he takes the stage. Sai, the
Thank you.
stage is yours.
Thank you, Marjorie, and thanks everyone. Thanks to officers for giving me this opportunity. So I'm quickly sharing my screen. So I would look at your emojis for confirming whether you are able to see it or not. Okay. So hope my screen is visible to everyone. Thank you for confirming, and hello everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for joining. So today's topic is something we're all hearing about, seeing on LinkedIn, and even arguing about sometimes on these artificial intelligence. I want to make one thing clear from the beginning. This session is not going to scare you, confuse you, or make you feel small. It's going to do the opposite. So it's going to empower you as a coder. So you will understand what's happening in the industry, what's happening with the coding, and then what you need to do in order to be in the requirement of the industry. So let's begin a real talk about AI from one coder to another. A quick disclaimer: this presentation is intended for educational and awareness purpose only. So the content shared here reflects current industry trends, emerging technologies, and generalized guidance. So this will not produce any legal, clinical, or coding advice. And all the AI related tools, features, and practices mentioned should be evaluated and validated within your organization's compliance policy and audit frameworks. So your judgment, professional judgment, is always advised. And also, before I start, I would also wanted to mention that throughout this presentation, you all will be on listen only mode, and you will not be able to speak anything because your mics are muted, but we will be looking at your Q&A section. So if you have any questions or anything about this presentation, so please drop in the Q&A section. And also, I wanted to make this as interactive as possible. We will have a couple of questions coming up during the session. So I would request everybody, please be active and be attentive in asking and answering questions. Okay. All right. So why am I here today? I'm not here today as a tech expert or some AI researcher. So I'm here as someone just like you, a coder, trainer, someone who has been neck deep in the world of documentation, denials, and deadlines, of course. So over the years, I've trained hundreds of coders, worked on critical projects, and recently authored a book called Chief Complaint, as Madhuri has already mentioned, and all while trying to stay ahead of what's coming next. That is also especially in terms of AI. I've tried lot many tools. I've fought with them, and I've laughed at their mistakes at the initial stage. But now I am getting amazed about the responses that I am getting from these AI tools. I've seen how, when used well, they can transform the way that we work. So this session is not a technical lecture, it's a reality check. I wanted to walk you all through what's really happening, not to scare you, but to help you prepare. So let's break it down simply step by step. But before that, I have one question, a quick warm up. So just type one word in the chat. When you hear the word AI in medical coding, what's the first word that comes into your mind? There are no wrong answers. So whatever you have got in your mind, just try to put it on the chat box. I'll look at your text. So when we say AI, what comes into your mind? We already started getting a lot of text: replacement, efficiency, automation, artificial, opportunity, right? Growth, job losses, okay, learning, adoption, innovation, replacing humans, learning and efficiency, jobs replacement, shortcut, revolution, machine learning, automation is scary, adoption and learning. Okay, all right, all right, all right. Someone said Terminator, job loss, and some answers are it's good, and some answers are layoffs. Some says time saving. So that's exactly what today's session. So we'll decode: is it really dangerous, or it was just misunderstood? So this particular visualization that you see, it represents the most common thoughts, concerns, and expectations medical coders have shared about the AI integration. You can notice how words like automation, efficiency appears large, while fear, replacement are smaller but still present. So the size of each word reflects how frequently it came up in different types of surveys which are taken from medical coding professionals. Words like learning, adaptation, and opportunity show up prominently, suggesting our profession is ready to evolve, and we as a coders are ready to take up these new challenges, right? So getting into those words, so we just saw those words: confused, excited, nervous, hopeful, like totally valid emotions, right? So but let's pause those feelings for a moment, and we'll look at the data. So let's start with this one. Nearly one third of world's data, that is 30%. Let me bring my pointer. 30% is healthcare information. Yes, healthcare alone generates around 2.5 billion gigabytes of data every single day. That can be from your clinical notes, lab reports, patient charts, billing records, research records, everything. It is the total world's data has 30% of occupancy from healthcare only. And now look at this 36%. So that's the compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of healthcare data through 2025. If we simplified, it means that healthcare data is doubling every 73 days. It's getting doubled every 73 days. So that's crazy fast. Imagine your desk filling up with twice the paperwork every 2 months, or your files are production files are getting doubled every 2 months. Would you still be sane? So that's the main problem. Healthcare generates more data than Netflix, Amazon, and Google combined. And we still expect coders to keep up with this mountain of information, line by line reading and coding accurately. Let's be honest, manual coding simply can't scale anymore. Unless we hire 10x more coders, which is not going to happen overnight, we are starting at a serious bottleneck, right? And that's why exactly AI is being brought into the room. Not because it is fashionable, not because someone wanted automation for fun, but because the math doesn't work out without help. So data is exploding, and the resources, the skilled resources, skilled personnel may not be sufficient or readily available. So that's what made, I'm just stopping my video so that there will not be any drops. Yeah. So that is exactly what's happening here in terms of numbers. But what's the impact on you as a coder on the actual revenue cycle process? So now let's look at the bottlenecks in the RCM that AI is being asked to solve. If we take a step closer and see why this massive growth in the healthcare data is a real challenge for us in revenue cycle management, here is what we are dealing with every single day. Hospitals generate around 50 petabytes of data per year, and that number is so big it's almost unreal. But to give you some context, that it's like 10 million filling cabinets filled with the documents. Just imagine that visual. We'll be buried under paper, lot of documents. And out of all this, 97% of the data just sits there unused, maybe locked in the silos. One system does not talk to each other. EMRs here, billing software is there, coders on a different tool altogether. Basically, the whole thing is a maze. Now let's talk about the people behind us, our coders. The average coder manages to process, like, depends on their specialty. On the inpatient, let's say 20 to 30 charge, or outpatient, different specialties, maybe 100 to 150 or different charts. But hospitals are getting over 2 to 300 new patient encounters every day. How do we catch up? Honestly, this is not just a scaling issue, it's turning into a full-blown crisis. So let's call it as the perfect storm. The claims volumes are increasing by 15% year over year. And the staff burnout is at 73% from various different service. And I'm sure many of you attending today can feel that in the first hand. I know that feeling at a morning of Sunday, we just wanted to take off, but I have to maintain my certification and I need to get these CUs, I need to attend. So that also one type of burnout. And then the denials are now hitting 11% to 17% range, depending on the payer and specialty. So that's the normal range that we have, the denial percentage that we have in the industry. And combine these three, what do you get? A revenue crisis in the healthcare system itself. And that's why I say that AI didn't arrive as some luxury tech to show off in webinars or in big stages. It came into our ecosystem because we literally didn't have a choice. When you are drowning in charts and your hospital is losing money by hour due to delays of the errors or whatever, or the denials or whatever happening, the AI stops being fancy. It becomes the survival thing. So now the question is, what is AI? What exactly should we know about AI as coders? So let's break it down simply in the next part. Before we dive into how AI being used into the coding, so let's start with the basics out of the way. So I know the term AI is being thrown all around a lot on these days. You open anything, you open any of the application, it is all about AI. So, but what does it really mean? AI is not just ChatGPT, not just Gemini. There are lot of other things revolving around this AI. And what exactly it mean for healthcare, for us in healthcare, especially for the people like for coders, billers, and auditors? The artificial intelligence, AI, like you can think of AI as a system that tries to copy human thinking and decision making. It's like giving a machine the ability to think a little, observe the patterns, make suggestions, or even take a small decisions just like human would, but faster way, even more faster way. So that's the artificial intelligence. And we also have another term, machine learning, ML. This is a part of AI. Here, the system keeps learning from the data, that it got exposed to. So if you feed it thousands of claims and tell it which one got rejected and why, over time, it will start learning the patterns. It won't stay static. It gets better and better. So the more data that it gets exposure to, it'll learn from it. And then the next one we have is NLP, natural language processing. Now this is a real game changer, I would say. The real game changer for us in coding. The NLP helps machines to understand and make sense of language, especially unstructured text like doctor's notes, discharge summaries, the EMR entries. Basically, the computer reads the chart and try to understand it like how we do. And that's a big deal for some machine to do. And then we also have another term that we usually see, the LLMs. LLMs are large language models. And I would say the LLMs are like NLP on steroids. So they have been trained on huge volumes of text, millions of pages. So when you ask them to summarize a chart or suggest a diagnostic code, they've seen enough patterns to predict what could fit best. You can think of them like supercharged autocorrect, one that only corrects the grammar but also understands the meaning. But even if this sounds too technical now, don't worry. Let me show you a simple example how this all works in our world. I promise it'll make sense. Let's start with something that all of us experience every day: your phone's autocorrect. So you can see you will have these autocorrects that are coming up when you are typing something. And not only this, when you are typing a message, let's say you're writing something that like I'll call. So before you even type that I'll call you, your phone finishes it as I'll call you. So you just have to type I'll call. So that's not a coincidence. Your mobile has learned it from millions of similar messages that this is the most likely the next word. So the pattern, so this, so usually when we say I'll call you, so I'll call, after that the next word usually coming is you. So that's what it was learned. The pattern was learned by this machines, by these technologies. It has learned from millions of similar messages, the pattern recognition, and that's how the AI also works. And now imagine, instead of these WhatsApp messages or whatever that I have been mentioning, the AI has read the millions of medical records and millions of discharge summaries and also the coding audits, the coded medical records. That's what makes it a coding assistant, not just a texting one. It's a revolution, and it's a great brain which has feeded with a lot of information. Maybe like when you type or say the patient presents with chest pain, the AI immediately picks up on common patterns. It might have learned from that 78% of such cases that there is a cardiac workup involved, certain lab values come into play, and specific set of diagnosis and procedures tend to go together. And all of these suggestions will get into your physician's software, the documentation software. So here is the key: it doesn't actually understand the medicine. AI doesn't actually understand the medicine. It just knows what most likely based on what it has seen. Just like autocorrect doesn't know grammar, it just know the patterns. So that's why we say AI is not the doctor, it's not the coder, it's the super smart assistant suggesting the next best word, or in our case, the next best code for a medical coders. But just like you, sometimes you ignore your autocorrect, coders also need to review, validate, and own the final output. So AI's job is to help you work faster and smarter, not to replace you. Am I making sense so far? Thank you for your responses. I am seeing a lot of yes. Thank you. And let's move on with some theory to some practice now. There is one case study that I tried to find out, and I've got something. So this is a real world case study. So that happened with the Memorial Health System. They implemented an advanced CAC, which is computer assisted coding system, but slowly, step by step, they have did it, and that's important because the AI can't come on single night. It has to be implemented step by step, slowly. They trained their coders first, then they did dual coding like AI plus human before going fully live. They also gave continuous feedback to AI system, so it kept learning. The result, 38% more coding productivity and 22% drop in DNFV delays and 17% fewer denials. And even better, $3.2 million of ROI in just a year. But this part is critical. Look at the accuracy numbers. When AI alone has worked on the claims, the accuracy is at 85 to 88%. And the human alone worked on the claims or charts, the accuracy stays at 92 to 94%. But the combination, the AI and human together, the accuracy jumped to 96 to 98%. That's the real power, isn't it? Not AI versus humans, but AI with humans. So that's the revolution that's happening in the coding industry. And on the next slide, like I know some of you are wondering, okay, but does AI really saves time? Does it actually help in our day-to-day coding? Look at this graph. So it's from the same study across different domains. On the outpatient evaluation management, they saw over 30% increase in charge coded per hour. ED and radiology, even better. Surgeries, where codes are complex, AI gave a solid productivity lift. That does not mean that AI is going to do everything. It means that AI is helping us to finish faster, highlights the key terms, and it will flag the missed diagnosis so we can do our job better and quicker. And for busy coders juggling, let's say on the inpatient, let's say maybe or in even in the outpatient, like 50 charge per hour. If you wanted to code, like your target is 50 charge per hour, and AI will help you to pick the information way faster because it reads medical records for you. It highlights the information that is necessary to code, and you are the one, you will look at that information and you will take a decision whether you will have to code it or not. So that's on you. So that's what it does. And not only this, I'm sure many of you are already using. So now, like here where it gets interesting, you might be thinking that all this AI stuff is new and futuristic. I have never used anything like this. But guess what? This AI thing came into medical coding, into the healthcare, especially, I think way before that we are seeing right now in the whole world. You already have used, you might have already used, or you might have experienced with it. In fact, many of us has been working with AI without even realizing it. And I have mentioned this few examples on, let's say on CAC, the computer assisted coding tools like 3M, Optum, and bunch of other CAC platforms, even Athena and other platforms. They've been using the NLP systems for years. They are scanning the provider's documentation, and these systems suggest codes automatically. That's AI. If you have ever clicked the code suggestion from 3M and accepted or rejected it, you have interacted with an AI model right there. And now we also have Epic Smart Assist. For those who have worked on Epic, you know this. It literally like started very recently, but suggests diagnosis and procedures based on words written in the clinical notes. That's not a human behind the screen. That's a model looking for patterns and suggesting you. So next time you see a pre-suggested diagnosis, think of it as like maybe a silent whispering from AI. Then we also have nuance DAX. This one is wild. You walk into a clinic, doctor speaks naturally with the patient, and while they are talking, this particular tool is listening. By the time conversation was done, the documentation is already prepared. That's called ambient clinical intelligence, and it's real. It is used in many clinics in US, especially to reduce physicians' burnout. And that is also AI, quietly sitting in the room, learning how doctors speak and converting those into a clean notes and sending it to you for coding. And then we also have NLP audit tools coming up. So now this is a big in the QA world, just evolving right now. But these NLP tools are proprietary, but these tools scan coded lot of charts using NLP and natural language rules. If it finds something fishy, like a code that doesn't match documentation, it flags it for the audit. And that's AI helping auditors too, not just coders. So the big point here is AI is not coming, it's already there in the coding industry. We don't need to be afraid about this new thing, but it's already old in the RCM. It's been silently working in the background, not taking away your job, but making it easier, one suggestion at a time. Right. So now I have a quick poll question for you. Let me ask you honestly, how many of you think that you have ever used an AI tool in your coding work? So maybe like you can type it in your chat box, like yes or no. And also if you can give what type of tool you have used. Using lot of yes. No, yes. Yes. So the examples that I just mentioned on the screen, ChatGPT, Gemini are the new terms that we are all seeing it. They are not new, they are there from so long. And Grammarly, Google Translate also works the same way, understands the language that we speak and then translate into a different language. So it is also working on the same way. They'll get trained with the data and then they'll get converted into whatever the output that is needed. Nice. There are a lot of messages that are coming up on the chat. Thank you all for mentioning all of your experiences and the chat and the tools that you have worked on. Okay, so let's move on and let's look into a kind of a real world scenario. It doesn't mean that I wanted to show you the accurate coding or anything, but just wanted to put you in a situation where you'll be able to understand like what's happening, what exactly going on with this uh, CAC or any of these things. Okay, so let's say for example, if we have given a patient record like a 65-year-old patient with a further routine care, and that record, if we just give it, so we are not talking about the exact coding and decisions here. Please understand that we are looking at the situation, the workflow, how AI plus human makes a solid team. So here is how this usually plays out when CAC system is in place. So the AI output is like it scans the documentation, it pulls out codes based on the keyword matches. Let's say the documentation has diabetes mentioned, so it'll just throw out the code 11.9. So the simple code. And then high blood pressure. It throws out the code I10. Then lipids are little elevated and it will throw out the code. Somewhere in the HPA, it might have seen some kind of information like asthma or something. It gives the asthma code. So now that's not wrong and that's not fully right also. AI gave these based on the surface level patterns. And the match rate, it's just around 78%. Not bad, but not safe enough for a final coding. And now you can see the coder version, the coder refined version. So an experienced coder doesn't stop at what's suggested, but they dive into labs and the HPI and the assessment and everything. And here is where the magic happens. And they find the patient has some other diagnosis, other diseases also. Let's say patient also have CKD, not just diabetes, not just hypertension. So the coder comes here and makes it accurate by changing the codes. The coder removes asthma, which is not there for the patient. And now think about it, the AI helped speeding things up. It got us halfway, but the coder brought in the clinical judgment and he brought in the medical reasoning and compliance accuracy. And the final match rate is 95% accuracy. And that's what matters in coding. Not just assigning the code, but making sure it is specific, supported, and audit proof. AI is like an intern who is fast, eager, and energetic. Okay? They are like just fresher, but they still need a senior to review the chart. And who is that senior? Who will be that senior? And that senior is you. Yes. That senior is the coder. That's you. And your role becomes even more critical when AI enters into the room. So now tell me, you are getting more value, or as a coder, your value is getting lower? Obviously, you are getting more value, right? So that is the situation that AI brings in onto our tables. This is on the coding part. On the EMR documentation, this is another area where AI is quietly but significantly shaping our day-to-day workflow. The EMR documentation part. So now I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, I'm not doing the documentation. I'm the coder. Doctor is doing it. Why I have to know about it? But trust me, whatever the physician types or doesn't type, it ends up in your hands. So it matters a lot. So let's break this slide into 3 parts. AI generated notes, predictive coding, and your critical role. Today's EMRs are not just blank screens, right? They become with the bots and they auto-populate notes based on what was written in the past visits or what's being captured during the current visit. It could be pulling forward chronic conditions from the previous visit or from the patient history, pulling the medical records from the patient's history, or even templated statements like patient denies chest pain, shortness of breath, and palpitations. And I'm sure in your day-to-day medical records, you might have seen lot of template documentations. From where those template documentation is coming? It's because of AI. And now this is not always wrong, but it can be risky, because guess what? If the patient did have those symptoms and AI blindly populated old phrases, it can lead to inaccurate documentation. And that means if there is an inaccurate documentation, it will lead to inaccurate coding. So it becomes coding mistake. So as coders, we'll have to stay alert. Even if we are not the ones who are typing the note, but we need to be aware of what exactly the template documentation. So I'm sure many of your clients or the process updates or anything that is coming up don't consider the template notes. So just observe the template notes. Just consider the documentation from specific area. So those kind of updates you must be getting, right? So all of those are because of this. And then on the predictive coding, some systems now go even further. Not some, but many of it has started getting into these actually. They analyze these auto-generated notes in real time and start suggesting codes, sometimes even before the note is complete. It's like having a mini CAC built into the EMR system itself. So the doctor selects the shortness of breath from the drop down. The system suggests the code R06.02. And mentions of chronic kidney disease anywhere, it throws like N18.3. Again, it feels fast, it feels convenient. Just like the same way you ask ChatGPT to tell you something, it gives you the faster information, but it's not accurate. It's not accurate. It's not always accurate. It will not act like it knows everything. AI is all about predicting the next step. So that is what happening. So predicting the CKD was mentioned. Let's say on the trained data for the AI, there are, let's say, CKD stage 3 are, let's say, 10 million records. CKD stage 1 is 1 million records. What is the more data that it has, more suggestions it has on, let's say, on stage 3, N18.3 only it will suggest, irrespective of what is the documentation here. If it's CKD, then it shows that particular code. As I said, it feels fast, it feels convenient, but the speed has a cost. If no one double checks that logic behind that suggestion, then we'll be at fault. Coder's critical role here is where we will come in. AI can assist, systems can suggest, but only you can validate. We cannot afford to treat AI outputs as facts. Every suggestion must be reviewed, contextualized, and when needed, they needs to be overridden. Because the risk is not just wrong reimbursement, it's a non-compliance. I am seeing a lot of chat going on in the in the chat box about the compliance thing, about the hacking. I'm reading your text already. So yeah, so it is the risk, and it is always there. I am going to mention about it in the presentation for sure. And it's the audit flags, and most importantly, it's the patient safety on the paper, right? So you can't just put it for the risk. So you definitely have to have a human intervening, understanding the actual medical record, actual context of it, and then code it. Maybe a smaller specialities or the more common ones may not have much more interaction, but the complex areas where, as I have already mentioned, the AI is going to flag the common mistakes that are happening, and those flags are what being reviewed by the humans. So to summarize, AI in EMRs is going fast. It makes things easier, yes, but it does not make things right. It does not make things accurate. We still need human coders with a sharp eye and a clinical understanding to hold the line. Don't let automation do your thinking. Let it support your decision, not make it for you. And there is also some information or some caution that we have for coders. Yes, Chandrasekhar, clients are developing AI in more accurate level day by day, but they are not making only AI to code it. They can't risk it. They can't ask AI to code everything, right? You as a human has to validate it. Previously, you might be coding, but not coding now. You are validating now. Yes, Chandni. So don't let automation take your brain, and so that comes. So you dependent on the any of these AI tools, you are getting dependent on it, then it will start taking over your brain, your decision making power, and of course it is going to create a problem. So it should reduce the dependency, and that's what you should use it as a co-pilot, not as a pilot. Okay, so it is always a co-pilot. The main person is you, the pilot is you, co-pilot is just there for assistance. It's always mentioned in the AI industry as well. All right, let's shift gears and talk about something that every coder, whether fresh or experienced, they might have dealt with at some point in terms of errors or something, the claim denials. Do all the hard work. We'll check the documentation, assign the codes, double check the modifiers, and then the claim comes back as denied. Sometimes it's missing detail. Sometimes it is a payer policy we didn't even know changed last week. And sometimes it's just a random payer mood swing, I would say. Okay, so jokes apart, the good news here is AI stepping in to catch these before they even happen, before the denial even happen. So let me explain how this works. On the step one, where the AI analyzes historical denial patterns. So these systems have access to thousands, sometimes millions of old claims. They study what got denied, why it was denied, and which combinations of codes, documentation, and payers are more risky. The most denials are coming. Even going further, like which payer is denying what providers claims for what CPT, when what diagnosis was there. There are a lot of data that is available in a lot of other companies, right? So that data analysis will happen, and it flags high risk claims. As you are coding a current chart, the system might be quietly running its check in the background. If it sees something that look like a past denial, previously there was a denial, and say like a missing linkage between the diagnosis and procedure, it raises a red flag. So that's how it flags the high risk claims and then predicts the denial reason. It doesn't just say this might get denied, it actually tells you why. For example, modifier 25 is missing for an E&M with vaccine admin code. There are a high chance of bundling denial. I'm sure many of you may be working on denials with the Athena software or any of the software, especially with the Athena or with the 3M or anywhere, you will be seeing lot of these rules or something getting fired up, right? So that is the prediction that is happening behind the scenes. Then it suggests the corrections. Finally, it gives you options. Would you like to add modified 25? Are you sure this diagnosis supports for this level of service? So now that sounds helpful, right? So it will tell you what exactly you need to look at. It will tell you where exactly commonly it is going wrong. But here is the twist. The system suggests. The system suggests. You, the coder, has to decide. You're the one who decides. Last line on the slide, very important. Coders must validate predictions and make final judgments on coding changes. Because the AI might not know the full clinical history. It may not understand payer specific nuances. And it surely can't explain the physician's intent in the documentation. So if AI tells you to downgrade or to remove a modifier, don't just follow it blindly. Think of AI as a denial coach or not the referee. It points to what might go wrong, but you still blow the whistle. And in today's world where denial rates are creeping higher and payers are getting more smarter, having this kind of early warning system can save our time, revenue, and so much of back and forth sending of the claims. So coders, your job is not just to code anymore. It is to analyze the risk. It is to play defense before the payer does. And that's exactly what AI helps us to do if we use it wisely. Making sense, everyone? Everybody is with me? A quick thumbs ups or some emojis. Oh my God, flooding. Thank you. Yes, using AI wisely is the conclusion. Yes. Right. Next, I wanted to stress this also as a separate entity because I know many of the members here might have worked or currently working in the risk adjustment. If you are wondering where AI is making most impact in coding right now, I'll tell you, it is the risk adjustment coding. It is the risk adjustment coding is the top area that is making most impact. Why? Because this is where chronic conditions drives reimbursements and even a single misdiagnosis can cost thousands. Break this down. The chart analysis happens like AI scans the documentation looking specifically for potential HCC conditions. It's not just a keyword matching, it understands patterns. For example, it finds multiple mentions of insulin, glucose labs, and neuropathy. It starts to build a case for diabetes with the complications. Then comes code suggestions. Based on what it finds, the system proposes RAF impacting diagnosis like maybe COPD, CHF, CKD, anything that bumps up the risk score. But we are not done. The system does not just stop at giving codes. It also flags gaps. That's where the gap identification kicks in. It checks labs, medications, even specialist referrals, and says, hey, we think the patient has CKD, but there is no ICD code for it. So this is a game changing because these gaps were often buried in maybe 30-page notes that no human had time to review. 30 is just a starting, I am saying, but you will have hundreds of pages also, and HCC coders might understand this pain, right? And this is where the AI is helping you all. Next up, the provider query. AI drafts smart queries for the physician, not generic ones, but condition specific and compliant. It might say that please confirm if stage 3 CKD is still active, as labs shows the like consistent EGFR below 60. So like specific, very, very specific information will be given. And finally, the coder validation. So that's us, human coder. Our role is to confirm. What is to confirm? Is there a clinical support? Is this diagnosis current? Are we meeting the meet criteria? So you see, AI is not making assumptions. It is giving probabilities, but the responsibility, it is still on us. AI in risk adjustment is not about replacing coders. It's about making us 3 times faster, 5 times sharper, and 10 times more impactful. That is what making us more valuable for the industry. And now let's zoom out a bit now and look at the bigger picture. So this slide is close to my heart because it reminds us how far we have come and how far we are going. Let's start with the past. And before that, I just wanted to ask, how many of you has coded ICD-9? How many old coders, veterans, or the so much experience one we have on this group? Oh, we are getting a lot. We are getting a lot. Yeah. Then you feel that with me now. So in the past, so this was manual coding era, paper charts, code books. I did not work on paper charts, but so as I recall, like every time Adi, Adi ma'am, right? So Adi used to mention how she started with the coding. They are like, she's even more senior. I'm sure many of you in the group might be someone dropped a code also, ICD-9. Wow, nice. So yeah, so that was fun, right? So we might have coded, I'm sure we will have people who worked on paper charts coded the handwritten charts. So you'd sit with the those kind of files, working with ICD-9 codes, and the claim submission was slow, and those are more error prone and often dependent on one person's memory or in the handwriting. And fast forwarded to today, the present, we are now in a hybrid world. Yes, we still have human coders, but we have got help. What help we have got? We have got EHRs, encoder tools, and NLPs, natural language processing, that reads and suggests codes. But we, the coders, still validating everything. And now, future. The future, we are entering into the world of AI enhanced coding. It's not about AI replacing us, it's about AI supporting us. Think of coders as editors in chief. AI does the first draft, we refine, validate, and focus on complex stuff like risk adjustments, appeals, audits, denials, and strategy. So this journey from code books to code suggestions, it's not scary, it's the natural evolution. And guess what? The demand for smart, adaptive, tech savvy coders is only growing. And now, this is the moment of truth. Everyone is asking if there is a lot happening in the chat. If AI can read, suggest, and even code, do we still need coders? Do we still need coders? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And this is the slide shows why. Let's break it down. AI is brilliant. AI is brilliant at pattern recognition, but it takes contextual understanding to know whether that pattern even applies. And I understand AI has speed. It can scan thousands of charts in seconds, but it does not have that clinical judgment. It does not feel what the patient condition means in context. And yes, AI can automate routine tasks, but when there is a gray area, a conflict, a dilemma, it's the coder's ethic that decides the right path. AI ensures data consistency, sure, but every payer has different rules. Only coders have the tribal knowledge for that. And of course, AI can predict trends with numbers, but patients are not just numbers, they are unique. Their case demand patient specific thinking, something only humans can offer. So at the end of the day, tools assist, but coders interpret. That's the line, that's the truth. And that's why you, the coder, will always matter. Am I making sense? Not audible. All right. Moving on. Thank you. Okay. So now let's address something that often gets ignored in all the AI excitement. I would say garbage in, garbage out. So what goes into the chart, exactly what AI and even you, the coder, have to work with. So documentation is the key for us. So think of documentation as a chain. If one link is weak, say a vague provider note, the whole process suffers. Let's say the provider just writes diabetes, no type, no status, no complications. What's AI supposed to do? Even you can't code that with confidence when you see that patient has a history of something related to diabetes. So what happens? It'll throw you inaccurate code suggestions, missed diagnosis, compliance and red flags, and yes, reimbursement goes down the drain. And that's why we say the quality of AI assistance is directly proportional to the quality of provider documentation. And this slide is your reminder. You're not just coding, you're decoding the clarity or lack of it in the documentation. Right? So now, moving on to one challenge, beat the bot. So let's have some fun. So this is your challenge. Maybe you can take a moment. We are not looking for the accurate coding or the codes or everything, but just if any of you remembers or anything, you can code it. So look at this case on the screen and think like what CPT code and ICD code would you assign here? Patient is Mr. Ramesh, 68 years old, comes in with persistent fever, chest pain, and productive cough. You've got history, you've got exam findings, X-rays shows consolidation, sputum culture confirms Streptococcus pneumoniae, and the final diagnosis was mentioned as community acquired pneumonia, clear and specific. Now let's peek at what AI gave us. It gave us the level 99213 and the code J18.9. Basic, non-specific pneumonia, just you and I both know that's incomplete. And as a human coder, would you look at the organism? I start seeing a lot of levels also 99214. Yeah, yes. Would you look at the organism also? Yes. The human coder, yes, we will look at the organism. We will look at the clinical complexity, the underlying conditions and the age, and likely go with higher ENM level and more specific diagnosis. More specific diagnosis for Streptococcus pneumoniae. So this is the exact kind of scenario where AI gives you a shortcut. Somebody just mentioned in the chat box, AI gives you a shortcut, but humans give the right direction. So yes, you beat the bot, of course. And this challenge, it's not just a fun exercise but it's just a proof that context matters and the coders still matter more than ever. Right? Thanks for that interaction, and I see the codes are coming in the chats. Wonderful. And let's move on to understand. Maybe we can zoom out for a second and address the elephant in the chart, that AI is not the magic. Yes, it can recognize patterns. Yes, it can process data at a lightning speed that you can never imagine. But there are blind spots and they are important. Context confusion. Context confusion is the big one. AI often can't tell the difference between history of cancer and an active cancer. And that can lead to critical coding errors. And modifier mix-ups? Oh, it happens. AI might completely miss a necessity of a CPT modifier, like let's say modifier 25, 59, or applied whether it does not belong, and boom, the claim will get denied. And then there is a poor linkage. This is also one of the area where AI fails. Sometimes as clinical as diabetes with CKD, we coders know there's a linkage rule there, but AI, it may code them separately unless explicitly spelled out. Explicitly mentioned that hypertensive chronic kidney disease, diabetes with CKD. So that linking might be required for AI to understand, because our ICD code, the core data that we have, the ICD codes says that hypertensive CKD. If it matches with the term, then it will code it. If the documentation does not match it, then it will not code it. I'm sure many of the HCC coders, many of the other coders might resonate with me on whatever that I am talking right now. And then don't get me started on payer policies. You and I know, like many of you might be on denials, working on denials, and many of you are might aware how frequently these payer policies would change. And especially after the telehealth, it's a lot. There are a lot of changes are happening very frequently. So what's valid in one state gets denied in another state. AI just can't keep up with what kind of with this level of nuance, I would say. So you should remember this. AI does not make mistakes because it's bad. It makes mistakes because it does not understand. It does not have the capability to understand it. That's why coders are not being replaced. They are being repositioned to lead the AI, to lead and work with AI. And in order to get into it, the core skills that you need, that you must develop as coders, we often think our skill lies in just assigning the right codes, but the future, it demands something more. Let's look at this pyramid. At the base is clinical intent analysis, your ability to read between the lines of the documentation to sense what provider meant, even when they didn't spell out it clearly. And next we have the payer policy interpretation. Trust me, no AI can't keep up with ever shifting sands of insurance and its rules and payer quirks. You can do it. The AI cannot. And then comes denial strategy and appeal writing. So this is where your voice matters. When a claim gets denied, it's not just about codes anymore. It's about knowing how to fight back and how to win. And moving up, the documentation coaching, physician documentation coaching, helping providers document better is not just a soft skill anymore. It's a survival skill. And I'm sure you might be seeing a lot of documentation specialists coming up, documentation specialist positions opening up. Nowadays, you might see a lot of positions coming up in the LinkedIn or in the job portals also. So that's is the booming area. And right at the top, ethical awareness, because no matter how good we get at maximizing reimbursement, our compass must always point to compliance, patient care, and doing what's right. These 5 skills, they can't be replaced, they can't be automated, and they will definitely define who rises and who stays behind in the coding world. These are the most important skills that you have to develop as a coder. And yes, someone like Yakala was mentioning, of course, everybody can't be repositioned for sure. The ones who has these skills. If you got the skill, so the main intent of this presentation or this event is to make you feel that you are aware of what are needed and you will get into the things that are needed so that you will get repositioned. So that's the main thing, so that you will not get replaced. Okay, so that's the main intent of it. So the one who stays with the skill, they will stay in the system. The one who does not acquire the skill that is required, they can't cope up with the system. That's the rule that's always there. Let's be honest, AI is getting smarter, but here is the truth. that we often forgot or forget is the smarter the tool, the more judgment we need. This table that you see isn't just a comparison, it's a reminder of where we shine. AI can spot patterns, but clinical reasoning is about making sense of complexity. It's about understanding what a patient's story means, something only we humans can do. It can process text, but documentation analysis, that's about reading between the lines, about spotting what's not said, but is still there. When it comes to regulatory compliance, AI knows rules, but we understand the context. We know when a rule applies and when it does not apply. And an audit response, AI can draft a letter, but it's your persuasion, your logic, and your evidence that turn a denial into the approval. That's you behind all of these. And finally, provider education. And of course, that AI can't build relationships. It can't coach, but you can. And people might say in the chat, so there are AI chatbots coming for like working like a dating apps and curing a lot of mental problems or something. That's not everybody's case, and you will have to spend hours and hours of time, and that's an addiction. That's an addiction to the AI chats or whatever that is happening. And of course, it's not the relationship that is exactly building. It's not the human. Humans are social animals, and then we need that interaction. It can't coach, but you can. You know how to collaborate, you know how to guide and elevate your providers. Remember, this is not about fighting AI. It's about working smarter with it while owning the spaces where machines can't go. And that is your competitive edge. That is definitely your competitive edge. And so there is one discussion is happening about the risk on the jobs and all. So the answer is here. I don't know. I feel like I'm reading your minds already and kept it on the slides. So we often hear this question. So will AI replace us? But what we should be asking is, what new doors is AI opening for us? What new doors is AI opening for us? So this slide introduces 4 emerging roles that didn't exist for a few years ago, but now becoming critical in AI-driven healthcare systems. You can see that maybe there is a role that can be created like medical AI validator instead of medical coder. You can think of it as the quality gatekeeper. When AI makes a suggestion, this role steps in to verify and correct it, especially in complex or nuanced cases where precision matters most. And who is not fitting into this? Just a moment. So suddenly my second screen got turned off, so I just turned it on. Thank you for being on hold. But yeah, continuing there. So this role might not be there now, but it will definitely needs the right skill set, right knowledge, so that you can get into these new roles. It's not going to take out the jobs, but you will have to be ahead with the required knowledge. You need to be like you need to be with the requirement that is needed for the new jobs. It's not like the previously, maybe 10 years ago, to become a medical coder, you don't need to be a certified person. You don't need to hold a certification. But now, today, in order to get a job quickly, you need to be a CPC certified or some kind of certification you need to hold. So that's a skill set that you need to acquire, right? Are you not like acquiring these skills that are needed for the companies? And I'm not telling that these positions that are being hired currently, but these are emerging roles that didn't exist but can be coming into, like, we will start seeing these roles in future. So second thing is on the CAC workflow reviewer, because so whatever the things that we are seeing, these are the possible roles that you are going to see for sure. With automation entering into the coding workflow, someone needs to ensure that humans and machines are not working in silos. This particular role will make sure that handoff between the coder and software is seamless and it is efficient. So that's the person who will work with the CAC workflows. And right now, the hiring onto these positions might not be in volumes. You might not see it, or they might not be calling it. But the role I recently come across on one of the position on the LinkedIn while I am researching, there is one company called ModMed, where it is modernizing medicine. It is involving with AI things. And then we have audit strategist. Audits are not going away, they are evolving. And this role focuses on identifying the patterns of AI generated errors and building systems to catch and correct them proactively. And then maybe the CDA experts now will become a documentation coaches. AI tools are only good as the documentation they read, but this role works directly with the providers to ensure clinical nodes are clear, complete, and AI friendly without compromising medical accuracy. These are not just job titles, they are next gen coding careers built on human skills enhanced by AI. That's what all I wanted to mention. These are next gen coding careers that we might see maybe in year 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but we will definitely see these kind of roles. And potential career paths for coders in this AI world. We are no longer just coders, we are becoming analysts, educators, tech integrators, and even strategic leaders too. And this pyramid shows how your coding foundation can evolve into high impact roles as AI reshapes our ecosystem. At the base is specialized certifications. Maybe think roles like AI assisted coding certified professional or some kind of RCM tech specialist that might come up in future. We already see that there is one course that is already there on AI, and I have mentioned about it already. And these are new age credentials that can validate your capability. And maybe like the next in few years we may see a pure certification, like how we are getting into CPC. There will be a certification that might come up that you will have to clear. That can be a new requirement for the companies in the future. So your preparation starts from here, starts from today. And what exactly you need to prepare for it, I'll be talking about it very soon. And the next is technical integration happens. If you are someone who enjoys working with systems, you could become a CAC configuration specialist or coding workflow designer, bridging coders and developers. Then comes education and training. AI needs good data, and that starts with great documentation. Roles like AI coding integration specialist and documentation improvement coach can help train the providers and teams for this transition. And then moving up, we have advanced analysis. Roles like coding quality analyst and revenue integrity specialists who blend coding accuracy with the data-driven insights. So that's the advanced analysis thing coming up. And finally, at the top, strategic leadership. This is where you become maybe direction of coding innovation or chief clinical documentation officer, guiding how AI is applied, governed, and improved within the organization that you are in. This is not a futuristic chart. This is a career map which is already unfolding. The real question is, where do you want to go next? Where your current skill set is going to set on? Where do you want to go next? Where do you want to position yourself into this particular career path? I will definitely assure that some of you might text me or DM me on LinkedIn in the future. Yes, I acquired this and I have got into this position for sure. Because it is happening. It is getting unfolded now. And we are already seeing a shift in the job market. Companies are not just looking for the coders, they are looking for coders who understand things in a better way. Maybe the AI too. Roles behind, like they blend traditional coding knowledge with AI workflows will emerge very faster. AI validator, as I mentioned, the CAC integration consultant, coding automation analyst. So these can be the future roles that I see. And here is the kicker. These roles are offering 15 to 30% of higher compensation than traditional coding roles. Why? Because it's not just about code anymore. It's about being the bridge between technology and judgment, between automation and accuracy. If you're already a coder, you're halfway there. Now it's time to stack on that AI awareness. I'm sure the ones who worked on ICD 9 to ICD 10, when the transition happened, the ones who are experienced, the ones who already got ICD 10 knowledge, they got good hikes. They have seen a good improvement in the packages also. Right? So that's the same thing is going to happen once you get into this particular requirement. And I know we have seen things where they are heading to, but now let's make it personal. What should you start doing today? Not tomorrow, not the next quarter, today. Because AI is not waiting and neither you should wait for it. Start by getting curious. Don't just use AI tools. Experiment with them. Break them. You have access to ChatGPT, you have access to something. Work with them, experiment them, break them. Ask, what can this do? What does it fail? Next, double down on the human skills we talked about earlier. Critical thinking, clinical reasoning, persuasive audit response, nuanced documentation reviews. You see them in your daily production. You see a specific type of infusion documentation. So that may not be easily interpreted by the AI. And finally, keep learning by experimenting all these things. Not just about coding guidelines, not just about CPT updates, but about tech, workflows, automation, and how AI thinks. You don't have to become a developer. Even the software programmers are also not programming now, right? Do you all know that? Even the programmers, once a programmer is not doing coding, they are taking assistance of AI to do the coding. You don't have to become a developer, but you do need to become a translator between the coders and machines. So here is your new motto: learn AI like your job depends on it, because someday soon it might be dependent on it. So better start early. So here is my suggestive roadmap. This is just a guidance, not a clear thing that you will have to follow, but this is just a guidance. You will have to research on your own and then get into these decisions and all. But if I were you, wanted to learn and understand what I would do from today in my first 90 days, what I would do from, like, for the initial 30 days, I'll just dip my toes on and I'll take one AI literacy course. If I don't know anything, we'll take one AI literacy course, maybe shadow the CAC workflow if any of my friends are working on in my organization, and plug into an AI community, healthcare community, even a LinkedIn group also works. There are a lot of AI groups are there in the LinkedIn. Just start listening into the conversations. And then the next 30 days gets hands-on. Start reviewing maybe the AI suggested codes, experiment with it, try to spot errors. And this builds the habit of critical evaluation. Also, go through the updates, CMS updates, latest updates on these AI assisted coding. It's important to know what's acceptable and what's not. And then in the next 30 days, the 60 days acquired knowledge, whatever you have, now you're not just learning, you're contributing. Maybe you just arrange or you just have a discussion at your lunch. Maybe just like three of your friends. Maybe create your own parameters, like how AI has helped me and when it did not help me, what patterns you have seen. And finally, like you can write a growth plan. Maybe in 1 year, I wanted to learn these things because this field is evolving fast and you don't want to fall behind. So you need to learn the skill that is needed, and that is related to AI. You need to learn using it, you need to learn understanding it. Only then you should become an expert in your current field. Only then you can get into the further roles. I do have some recommendations. These are not all inclusive. These are the ones that I just review and refer usually. The first thing that we should thank AAPC for this. If you prefer a formal education, you should start. I'm sure the members who joined here, everybody must have got the active AAPC membership. Usually AAPC charges $350 for the non-members, and for members it's free. The AI course, I'm sure many of you might have seen in LinkedIn posting, I have completed the AI in medical coding and billing course by AAPC. So it's the member exclusive, but it covers the core AI concepts tied to coding practice. And we also have some upskilling webinars on AHIMA, how HIM roles are adapting to AI, and it's free. and sometimes it'll have CUs also. Or even if you wanted to go a little further in the formal education, try Coursera's AI for healthcare specialization, and it's from Stanford University. And it's ideal if you are looking for foundational knowledge without coding heavy prerequisites. If you are looking at like maybe even more self-guided learning, you can explore Ehima's virtual AI summit, which happened on June. It'll give you like, this is the past event, but just wanted to mention, if you wanted to look into the on-demand webinars, there are also on-demand webinars like AI from the end user's perspective, governance and AI, which offer a real practical examples of how AI is being used and regulated right now. Pick any of these and commit to exploring it maybe by next week. This is your low cost, low risk way to start. Once you got into it, then you will feel in a different way. You'll understand it in a different way. And I want to take a moment to address some of common fears I have heard, maybe even from some of you here in the chat. AI will replace all coders. No, it's a no. You all must have understood right now. It's transforming the coders' roles. It's not eliminating it. The human coder is still very much needed, just in more strategic, judgment-based ways. And another fear is, I am too old to learn AI. Let's be real. Most of these tools are made to be intuitive. If you can use Google or Excel, you can learn the basics of AI tools too. And then another one, my specialty is too complex for AI. Exactly, that's why AI still needs us. Complex cases require more oversight, not less. It requires more oversight, not less. And then the most important one, AI will drive down salaries. Actually, coders who can work alongside AI with an extra skill, of course, are potentially seeing higher. They have the potential to see the higher compensation, even if even 30% more. And then finally, my organization, I am working in a small company. My organization is too small for AI. You know what? The smaller setups are exactly where the scalable AI tools, the scalable tools, AI tools are making the biggest difference in the productivity. If I were the smaller organization, I would start looking at the AI alternatives application, so that how can I become bigger by using this technology. All right, let's get practical. We are in the last phase of our presentation. So if you are wondering, okay, this is all great, but what do I actually do starting from tomorrow? This is it. We will break it into 3 clear steps: learn, apply, lead. Start small, enroll in a free AI literacy course, any of it. There are a lot happening. Even a 2 hours course is a good one. It's a good one to start. Join at least one webinar this month. You already joined this. Maybe you try and search. Majority of them are US healthcare, so those will be in US timings. It's okay to compromise our sleep for 1 or 2 hours, but it gives you a good knowledge. AI in healthcare is a hot topic. and the sessions are happening everywhere. And don't miss the, yeah, okay. And don't miss the CMS updates. They're not just compliance checks, they show how AI is being interpreted in the regulation also. And then on the application part, learning is useless without application. You all know it. So maybe you can start auditing AI coded charts, even just one, just pick some sample from maybe on empty samples or from somewhere, put it on the Word document, you code it and compare this same coding, you put it on the chat GPT or some AI tool, ask it to code, compare the mistakes, the common mistakes that AI does. Okay, so when you start doing it, even just 1 or 2 per week, keep a small log of common AI mistakes. After maybe like 2 months, you will see the patterns. You will see the patterns of mistakes. Most importantly, the practice explaining why an AI suggestion is wrong, and this strengthens both your logic and also your communication with the AI tools. So this is what you need to apply. And then on the lead phase, be the one who brings others along. You can offer a quick team huddle on something you have learned newly, or volunteer if there is any AI pilot or testing is going on in your organization. Maybe you can go there and ask that you wanted to be a part of it, and mentor someone, even just sharing the webinar that you are attending, or just a Coursera link that you have got. So that can be a leadership. Just take someone also along with you. It will not harm you. It will put you forward. It will take you forward. It will put you into a lead position. This is not just about mastering AI overnight. It's about showing up consistently and getting just 1% better every week. Just weekly 2 or 3 charts is what I am saying. I am sure you will see the improvement. You will see what, you will understand what's happening in the industry. And now let's talk about where to invest your learning energy. This is where the 4 priority areas that will keep coders not just relevant but in demand as AI tools evolve. These are, I would say, demanding positions that will come up in the upcoming days. One is denials and appeals. If you are not touching appeals yet, start with it. Why? Because AI generated errors. AI is coding, they are submitting the medical records, and AI generated errors will often show up in denials. Coders who understand how to turn clinical facts into a successful appeals are gold. You will be that gold. So start getting into this denials and appeals. Appeals is, writing an appeal is an excellent skill. Develop that skill. The second one, compliance and risk. With AI automating suggestions, your knowledge of CMS rules and risk models becomes the gatekeeper. You're not just a coder, you will become a quality filter. We all think that compliance is just something that is there in the organization. They'll check for whether we logged our system or not, whether we are doing things or not. No, that's not the compliance. That we are just looking it in a wrong way. Compliance is way bigger. It is looking into everything. If a client needs to get onboarded, a compliance check needs to get passed. Everything should be under the rules. Everything should pass on the rules. If you are submitting a claim, a compliance check will happen. So this is the evolving positions, or the risk assessment is very, very important area. And then coding analytics. If you want to stand out, start analyzing trends. error rates. Maybe if you are working on inpatient DRG shifts or the AI pattern fails. Even basic Excel or dashboard skills can turn you into a decision influencer. You should have that analytical brain. Start developing it. Getting into analytics is very, very important. And then NLP and CAT tools. This is the playground, I would say. You don't need to code software. Just learn how to test, review, and navigate tools like 3M, Optum, or even your internal AI coders. The more hands-on you are, the faster you adapt. Just think like the starting of your career, you don't know anything about Excel, you wanted to do something, you take some time to type. But now, if you got experience, how easy for you to work with Excel? It's very easy, right? That is because you got to spend a lot of time with it. It's the same with AI. So think beyond just CPTs and ICDs. Think roles. Think next level skills that AI can't do without you. Right? And next, moving on to the ethical considerations. When we talk about AI in coding, we're not just talking about tools and productivity, we are talking about responsibility. So we'll unpack 4 major ethical concerns every coder and organization needs to be aware of. First one is algorithmic bias. AI systems may perpetuate existing code biases if trained on historically flawed data. So let's say for a particular patient, there is an incorrect coding was done for 100 past records. And AI predict the same incorrect code in the new record also. This is called algorithmic bias. Think of this like a teaching a student from the wrong answer key. If an AI model is trained on years of inaccurate or biased code, say over documentation of a particular condition, under coding in specific demographics, it will learn those same mistakes and it'll repeat them. Okay, imagine if historical data consistently underreported the social determinants of health in certain patient populations. An AI trained on this data might continue to miss capturing these important Z codes, not because it's lazy, because it was never taught otherwise. So before we use AI, we must ask what it was trained on, whether this particular model has algorithmic bias or not. So this is one thing that we need to be aware of. And then moving on to the over-reliance. Excessive trust in AI suggestions can lead to new forms of coding errors, which will eventually pull further denial. It's easy to get comfortable. You see a code suggestion and you accept it without thinking. But AI doesn't read between the lines. I am keep on saying this. It doesn't read between the lines like we do. It does not infer, it predicts. And when coders stops applying their own judgment, AI becomes a risk rather than the support. I already mentioned about the example. AI can recommend E11.9 whenever they see it sees the diabetes. But there is a note clearly documents some kind of other complications. You are the one who will be looking at it. AI is just a supporting actor. It is not the director. It is just a supporting actor, supporting role. It's not the director. That is what we need to be aware and think. Over-reliance will spoil the actual purpose of it. And then moving on to the transparency, providers and patients have a right to know when I know I am at time, 4 minutes left. So I may take 5 to 7 minutes more, but I'll ensure to complete by 11:10. Sorry for that, but I wanted to put this context to everybody. This is very, very important part. So the transparency, providers and patients have right to know when AI is involved in coding decisions. So this is especially important in value-based care. I see the case where the patient has called the insurance, patient called the provider's office and says that no, this is incorrect coding for my record. I did not had this, so this is incorrectly coded. I did not had this procedure. I saw those comments documented in the EMR system. This is especially important in value-based care. If AI plays a role in how a diagnosis is captured or how a claim is built, stakeholders need to know. Not because AI is bad, but because informed decisions are required, like they require the honest disclosures. And if a provider disagrees with the code that was AI suggested and it leads to an audit, they have a right to ask, was this suggestion made by the coder or a machine? We must create an audit trail that shows where human judgment ends and the AI input begins. So that transparency is needed as a part of ethical consideration in the AI coding. And finally, the human responsibility. The coder remains ultimately accountable for what coding is done, for the coding accuracy, regardless of AI assistance. AI doesn't sign off on the chart. You do. No matter how smart the system is, it's your ID tied to the claim. Your name will come in the audit trail. You submit the chart. You will accept the code suggestion. You will submit the chart and it will show your name. If an AI tool auto picks up the CPT and you approve it without checking the documentation, later it's denied for medical necessity, the payer won't question the AI. They'll question you. So that's why we say AI assess, it does not absolve. So as a wrap-up thought, I would say AI can be a brilliant partner, but like any partnership, it needs trust, transparency, and accountability. So let's use it wisely, not blindly. Let's use it wisely, not blindly. All right. So let's say your organization is now open to exploring AI in coding. That's great. But how do you actually get started? If your organization has started implementing it, and how do you be prepared? So I'm not sure how many leaders are there in the group, but they might like echo with me, resonate with me on all these pointers. I just wanted to put this perspective. It's small, but just a perspective. Implementing AI is not just buying a tool. It's a journey. And like any change, it has to be structured, thoughtful, and people first. And if it got implemented, the journey would look like this. First, the assessment will happen, which means the evaluation of the current workflow inefficiencies and productivity metrics. So before jumping into AI, first ask, where are we actually struggling? Our coders are spending too much time on the repetitive diagnosis codes? Are denials going up due to missed modifiers? So that kind of assessment should happen. And then on the education, provider comprehensive training before and during the implementation. You can't just throw AI at a team and expect the magic to happen. Coders need to know what this tool does, how it makes suggestions, and when to trust it and when to push back. So that education is needed. And then pilot testing. Start with the limited scope to identify issues and refine processes. Don't go live across all specialties on day one. This is general practice, anything that is being done, but just to mention about it, pick a low risk area, say like office visits or preventive services, and then test the tool in a controlled way. And the fourth step that happens is the validation. Implementing the dual coding during transition to ensure the accuracy. When I say dual coding, AI plus human coding. So this is where your coders will act as both teachers and auditors. For a while, let both the human and AI code the same chart and compare it. And on the fifth step, the continuous improvement, establishing the feedback mechanisms for ongoing system refinement. AI is not just a plug and play, it's learn and adapt. Repeating again, it is not just plug and play, it is learn and adapt. There should be a feedback loop where coders report mismatches and those corrections are fed back to improve the tool. So the final thought here is implementing AI is not a one-day event, it's a culture shift. But if you lead it with the assessment, education, and feedback, your coders don't just survive it, they'll help shape it. And with that, let's end with a mindset shift. The goal is not to compete with AI, it's to collaborate, to develop the uniquely human skills that AI can't replace. That is your judgment, your clinical reasoning, your ability to read between the lines. AI will get faster, AI will get smarter, but you bring the context, the empathy, and the ethical lens that no algorithm can mimic. So instead of fearing it, let's leverage it. Use AI to save time, use it to spot things that you might have missed, use it to ask better questions and get closer to clinical accuracy. Remember, AI is an assistant, not the expert. You are the expert, and this new chapter belongs to coders who do not resist the change, they ride it. You need to ride the change. So let's move forward together as future ready coders who lead with the skills, stay grounded in ethics, and embrace growth. AI, like coders who embrace AI, will replace those who do not. That's not a threat, it's a wake up call. Because the future of medical coding is no longer about memorizing guidelines or racing about the charts. It's about who can adapt, who can understand systems, question suggestions, bring in clinical reasoning, and most importantly, who can learn continuously. The AI tools will evolve, audits will become sharper, denials will get trickier. But the coder who pairs domain knowledge with curiosity, who keeps asking, why did the system pick this? Why did the system pick this? How can I validate this? That's the coder who thrives. Your growth now depends on like it depends less on how much you know and more on how well you learn, unlearn, and relearn. So don't aim to survive AI, aim to co-pilot it. Don't aim to survive in this AI, aim to co-pilot it. How can I use it to my growth? So this is your moment to redefine what being a coder means. You're not just assigning codes anymore. You're interpreting technology, guiding accuracy, and safeguarding healthcare data. And that's powerful. That's definitely powerful. With that, I am concluding today's session. And before that, I just wanted to ask, when first we begin, we asked you about what comes to your mind when you hear AI in coding. Some of you typed confused, excited, worried, future, automation, and all of other things. So now that you have gone through this journey together, from what AI is and AI is not, to where it's already showing up in your workflows, and how you can prepare, adapt, and lead. Let me ask you again, quietly this time, when you hear AI in coding, how do you feel now? Is that nervous, curious, ready to learn, or already using AI? What is your response? Drop it in the chat box. Ready to learn. Lot of ready to learns. I see a magic wand. Wonderful. This is the transformation that I have been working on, and so I feel like my efforts got paid off with this mind shift change. All right, so that's it for today, and thank you all so much for the Hyderabad local chapter for giving me this opportunity to present, talk about this, and I'm so glad that I had this opportunity to speak. Yeah, that's concluding. That's the conclusion of the session. And my full name is Golisa Ifani, and signing off for today. Over to you, maybe Madhuri or anyone on the chapter.
Thank you. Thanks, Funny. Thanks for leading this session with your insightful thoughts. Okay. And yeah, I just want to take a couple of minutes as we conclude this insightful session. So I just want to take and deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing team. So first of all, I extend our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Funny, for his expertise and illuminating us on the evolving role of what AI does in coding. And also to our attendees, like, thank you for all your participation, engaging questions, and also the commitment to continuous learning. So before we conclude, like, maybe I'll just take a couple of minutes and post a couple of thoughts or some reassuring phrases from my end. So by the way, so my name is Harish, and like, I'm one of the member in the AAPC Hyderabad chapter. So since the topic is more relevant to current situation that what we are facing, so just couple of like couple of insights what I just want to post across to the group, and I also wanted to leave some thoughts open for your interpretation. So again, yes, as Funny has mentioned, AI is here. Okay, so whether you accept it or not, AI is here. It all depends upon which side you will be on, right? Either you will be on a side embracing it and start evolving with it, or you would be on the other side thinking more about what will happen, why will happen, and get extinct in the population. It depends upon which side you would take on. And also remember one thing, so it's always natural to feel uncertain with change. We as a humans, we can't accept changes that often, right? We are very we are not comfort to accept changes. But remember one thing, the growth often begins in the space of discomfort. Uh, and also the history shows that the technology often creates new opportunities rather than taking them away. Who gets embraces it, it will not be replaced by. This is a perfect quote to end this presentation. And also couple of open thoughts that I want you to get interpreted. So guys, remember one thing, the, when calculators and Excel sheets came in, those didn't replace accountants. Rather than they made them make faster, our work faster, and made more accurate, and help us to build some wonderful financial tools. Also remember one thing, even the best GPS system will need a driver to it. Okay, so yeah, I just want to leave it here and want you to interpret yourself on where this goes and what the future is. And also, I want to specially thank the AAPC team for providing a seamless support and providing us a platform that fosters learning and professional growth for coding professionals across the globe. And to our backend support team, we appreciate all your efforts in ensuring such all these webinars are being run smoothly without a hitch. So let's carry forward the insights that we gained today and continue to adapt, learn, and lead this age of AI-driven healthcare. So once again, thank you for all being part of this today's session. We look forward to meeting you all in the future webinars and educational events. Stay connected, right? Stay inspired. Thank you and have a great day. And I see majority of you people are posting your AAPC IDs in the chat box. Remember, there is no need of it. We pull your attendance from the back end. Whoever has been part of the complete session, they'll get the attendance and obviously the CU's link to it. Okay. So yeah, that's all that we have today. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll meet next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you, Funny.